Welcome to Public Speaking Secrets, where we teach you how to speak better to live better. Whether you want a new job, a new date, a new career, a new life, it's all about how you communicate your vision to the world. I'm Christopher Kai, #1 best-selling author and Fortune 100 global speaker. Today's episode, we're going to profile two people, Jack Ma and Elon Musk. Let's find out who is better.
So I'm quite optimistic, and I don't think artificial intelligence is a threat. I don't think artificial intelligence is something terrible, but human beings are smart enough to learn that. And to me, artificial intelligence is just like people worry a lot about this today. Are those people I call them uh, called college smartness. People like us, street smart, we never scared of that. We think it's a great fun, and we want to change ourselves to embrace it.
I don't know, man. That's like famous last words. Let me tell you, AI is, I mean, you look at sort of the rate of advancement, just in general, the rate of advancement of computers is insane. And like a good example would be video games. You know, if you go back 40 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe, you had Pong. That was just two rectangles and a square. Now you've got photorealistic real-time simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, these games will be indistinguishable from reality. You will not be able to tell the difference. Either that or civilization will end. Those are the two.
So, two very, very different perspectives in terms of AI. That's a conference where Jack Ma spoke as well as Elon Musk. I have had the privilege of seeing Jack Ma speak at former President Clinton's CGI. This is a few years back when Jack Ma was speaking. He's a phenomenal keynote speaker. Now, granted, he's speaking on a couch and is more casual, but he's a phenomenal, very charismatic speaker. Reminds me of Steve Jobs, actually. Then Elon Musk, I've actually had a chance to interview him in person. When you get to see them in person or interview them in person, you really get to see their true colors. Now, let's break down each one. Let's first talk about Jack Ma. Jack Ma reminds me of Steve Jobs because, like Steve Jobs, neither of them were technical. They don't program, they're not tech people, they're not technologists, they're not computer oriented, but they know how to promote, communicate, and inspire people. As Bill Gates has said that Steve Jobs is a wizard of words. He'd be able to mesmerize, inspire, and motivate. And Jack Ma has that similar mentality where he's really good at promoting himself and speaking. So though he doesn't believe in artificial intelligence, he's not a tech guy. He doesn't really know the depth of that, but he's very inspiring and he talks very colloquially, optimistically, and talks about how we, the street smarts people relating to the audience, is better. Now, Elon Musk, he is all brains. He's kind of like Bill Gates, but much more cool, Tony Stark's wise. But he's like, well, I don't know. And he uses an example. He says, you look at video games, for instance, using examples is so important. He uses video games. He's like, Pong was 2 blocks. And now these games are so realistic. So when you're communicating, you want to make sure you have the inspiration as a Jack Ma has as a communicator, relatable. It's about us, the people, but you also want to have the specific storytelling and examples like like Elon Musk. So for instance, if I say, hey, I'm a keynote speaker, I just spoke in Discover Card, or I spoke in Australia where they rated me as one of the top speakers, but I'm using a very specific example of how I spoke at a conference, or how someone walked up to me after one of my speeches and said, you were the best presenter I've seen in 18 years, and she's an event executive with 18 years of experience. But I'm not just saying I'm a great speaker, I use reference points, but it doesn't, that's myself. I'm saying for you, if you're gonna say you're very smart, or you're really good at pressure, don't just say it, use specific examples and ideally a story. Otherwise, people aren't gonna remember you being a smart person. Keep that in mind. Now, both of them in this actual interview clip, neither of them actually spoke too fluidly. Elon Musk, when you do speak to him, he does use a lot of fillers like uhs and ums, as does Jack Ma when he says, what do you call them? You call them street smart people or college smartness. Now, so both of them do use fillers, uhs and ums, because when you are real time, you're having interviews, it's very hard to be really clear on saying things because sometimes you just forget things. So don't listen to them when it comes to speaking smoothly, because they both use fillers, but definitely listen to and emulate Jack Ma's sense of sincerity, sense of purpose, sense of idealism and optimism. The common people is great too. And then definitely listen to Elon Musk. He's one of the most genuine, humble guys that I've ever met in my life. And he's also using examples. That's something that I see a lot. I meet all these supposed experts and coaches and speakers and authors. They talk about how great they are in marketing and leadership, but they don't use specific examples. So make sure you use specific examples of when you share your expertise, your skill, your ability to shine. Make sure you use very specific examples like Elon Musk. Otherwise, it just doesn't really anchor in your message. And you ideally want to use specific examples like Elon Musk, where, for instance, video games uses one example 40, 50 years ago with Pong, and the other extreme, he talks about photorealistic things. So when you're using examples for yourself, if you say, well, let's say you were crushing it in sales, and the more tight the time frame was where you helped the client go from $1 million to $100 million within 4 years, then you're saying your expertise in sales and giving an example of a client that you've helped with results. Because if you want to convince someone, persuade someone, be effective in motivating people, use specific examples, ideally with stories. Hopefully that's helpful. Who you think is better, Jack Ma or Elon Musk? They're actually both really good. They're both good in different ways. Elon is very technical. Jack Ma is more inspirational. But when you combine those two individuals in your speech, whether you want to find a job, a new date, some love going on, or a new client, make sure you use examples, be sincere, and hopefully that's helpful. Please show some love. Click on that like button, subscribe to my channel, type in the comments, what's one thing you learned about this interview? Thanks so much. Have a great day.